Ankh and Ma'at. Welcome to Kemetic Ascension for August 27th, 2023. We're so pleased that you're here with us. I am honored that you decided to spend your wonderful Sunday, the last Sunday of the secular August, with us. Let me go ahead and say that this is the first time we're seeing you in, I guess, a month, really. We thought that would have been able to run Kemetic Ascension from Kemet, and it just didn't work. I think it was Kemet where we were. Actually, I think it might have been Ghana, right? And we ended up being on a bus for an extended period, and it just wouldn't have been able. We wouldn't be able to do that. So I apologize. Restore my aunt with all of you who really look forward to Kemetic Ascension and were looking forward to Kemetic Ascension from Ghana. Unfortunately, sometimes things just don't work out. Definitely, we would have had to sort of get situated, get the group situated, because we're not just travelers, we're actually running a group. And we also would have had to make sure that we had appropriate internet, which is something that becomes a bit challenging when you're not in the capital city of Accra. So definitely it was a bit of a challenge. So those of you who are looking for Kemetic Ascension, I believe that might have been the first time in all of the, I think it is. Anika saying no, she believes that there's been another time. I believe it was the first time in all of the time that we have run Kemetic Ascension that we didn't actually have Kemetic Ascension, or some facsimile thereof. So we apologize. Let me just go ahead and say that we are happy to be back in the saddle, back in Harlem, back in the United States, for Kemetic Ascension with you. We're looking forward to continuing this fall with Kemetic Ascension, and really soon we are going to have our head Kepler. For those of you who are with us, you should know, I'm going to announce this again during this session. We're going to be having the celebration for those people who have completed their initiation. It's going to be the weekend of September 16th. The 16th is a Saturday, so their celebration will be on the 16th. Please be prepared to join them at 12 noon for their celebration. We're really expecting it's going to be amazing. The Shrine of Ma'at family is growing once more. We're hoping that you'll be there with us, right in Central Park, in front of the Dana Discovery Center. Right in Central Park, up in the Harlem section of the park here in New York City, at right in front of the Dana Discovery Center, will be having their celebration, and we hope that you'll join us. That portion of the weekend will be open to the public. For those of you who are full members of the Shrine of Ma'at, you should know that we have a full weekend of activities. We'll have activities Friday night, we'll have activities Saturday, and we'll have activities Sunday. Sunday, we will do a tour of the Metropolitan Museum, a private tour for members and family members and friends of the Shrine of Ma'at. We're looking forward to that. And we are also going to come back to Harlem, go to the African market. We usually do that, and folks that are coming from out of town generally enjoy that. And then we have dinner. So it's a full weekend of activities. We hope that those of you who are full members will join us for the full weekend if you can. And we hope that all of you who are in sort of the concentric circles of the Shrine of Ma'at family will also come to see those individuals who are becoming full members on September 16th. We really hope that you'll join us. With that, that was a long preamble. Let me go ahead and ask what I always ask for every Kemetic Ascension. For those of you who are with us, we welcome you and we ask you two questions. How long have you been partaking in Kemetic Ascension, brought to you by the Shrine of Ma'at? And where in the world are you? Two questions, right? How long have you been part of Kemetic Ascension, and where in the world are you? Let's figure out how far and wide our signal is heading. Anika, do we have answers?
Yes, we have Michael Guest from Boston, Massachusetts.
Ankh Ma'at. I don't think I've heard that name before.
Eternally Evolve, uh, Eternally Evolve 9 from Chicago.
Ankh Ma'at. Ankh Ma'at.
Lee McCoy Kepra Pooh Heru from Mobile, Alabama.
Of course, that's our full member, Sen Lee McCoy. Seems like he has added to his name. What's the rest of the name?
Kepra Pooh Heru.
Kepra Pooh Heru. Kepra Pooh. I'm not familiar with the rest of the name. Ankh Ma'at to you, Kepra Sen Kepra Pooh Heru, who is our full member out there in Alabama. Sen Lee McCoy, Kepra Pooh Heru. How are you? I hope you're doing well.
Senator Ashley from Houston.
Ankh Ma'at. Ankh Ma'at. Oh, see, you said Houston, and I never remember that she's no longer. Right off the bat, I think of her as being in Vegas, but she's in Houston. Ankh Ma'at to you, Sinette. She's also one of our full members out there in Texas, in Houston.
Shane the Watcher, 616.
Ankh Ma'at to you, a regular.
I wanted to know if you saw Blue Beetle.
I just saw Blue Beetle yesterday. I had thought that I would try to go see Blue Beetle on the continent because it would have been really fun to go see a superhero movie in Ghana. That didn't happen. I just saw it yesterday and have a lot to talk about. Not as much as I thought from the comedic perspective. Obviously, his power comes from a scarab. A scarab, you might have realized. I know you know this, Shane the Watcher, but for those of you who are not comic book fans like Shane and myself, you may not have known that. So there is a connection to Kemet in that way, and sort of the mysticism of Kemet, and supposedly it comes from aliens, which may actually also be a reference to, excuse me, that Kemet perhaps was established by aliens, which is something that we see very common. So anyway, I'd love to hear what you think. Yes.
Sen Atan Amun-Ra.
Ankh Ma'at to you, our full member out in the Windy City. How are you? How's the family?
Tasseti.
Ankh Ma'at. Ankh Ma'at didn't tell us where. Tasseti's a regular though. Ankh Ma'at, how are you?
Sen Jason Holmes.
Our full member out in Lincoln, Nebraska. How are you? I hope all is well, dear brother.
Sen Gavin from the DMV.
Ankh Ma'at, another full member. Ankh Ma'at to you. How are you? How's the family? I hope you're all doing well.
Annette Daria Ware.
Ankh Ma'at. We have a bunch of full members on. Ankh Ma'at. Ankh Ma'at. How's your sister? That's the question I should always ask, right? Because she and her sister are both full members of the Shrine of Ma'at. Ankh Ma'at.
We have Nahisi Ankh-Sekem,
who is one of those individuals now out of Miami. I don't think he's doing much in Vegas anymore, but I haven't asked him that. He and his queen will be celebrated at the Head Kepler on September 16th. I don't know whether they're coming in person, but I should say I don't remember whether they're coming in person. I'm sure they've answered that question already, and I have it in my list. But please know that he and his queen will be full members of the Shrine of Ma'at really, really shortly.
We have Svet Kochie.
Ankh Ma'at to you, Ankh Ma'at out of Detroit. Ankh Ma'at.
We have our Jati from Benin.
Ankh Ma'at. In fact, Kochie was trying to reach me. I was absolutely drinking from a fire hose. So that Kochie, I think you were trying to come to the weekend. I hope we'll see you that weekend. It'd be wonderful to see you. Ankh Ma'at to the Jati, also known as Tuhudi Forever. Ankh Ma'at to you.
Shaheed Douglas out in St. Louis.
Ankh Ma'at to you, a regular person. I'm feeling like I'm about to start coughing again. I came back with a bit of a cold, not COVID, a bit of a cold from Africa. So I'm gonna try to chew on a ginger chew to obey the cough. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Michael Guest has been with us for 5 years.
I'm sorry, say again?
Michael Guest has been with us for 5 years.
Ankh Ma'at. Ankh Ma'at.
We have Medjugorje TV from Paris.
Anken Ma'at, Medjugorje TV.
Mhm.
Anken Ma'at. I wonder what you're doing out in Paris. Good to hear you.
Well, this isn't the first time.
Mm-hmm.
We have Sam Garrett out in Arizona.
Anken Ma'at, one of our full members, he and his queen, coming from Benue or Phoenix. Anken Ma'at, I hope you're doing well, San.
Let's see, Coach A says that she's actually in Detroit for a minute.
Aren't you always in Detroit?
And she's been with us for 2 years.
Yeah. Are you someplace else, Coach A? Sitting at Coach A?
We have
I know that she actually hosts sort of meditation and rejuvenation retreats. I hope I'm not describing it incorrectly. She is actually a personal coach and she assists people in reaching their higher self. So perhaps she's traveling and that's what she's telling us. Ankamat to you.
we have Legacy Abraham, who's from Israel,
Anken Ma'at.
has been with us for 4 or 5 years.
Anken Ma'at. Not a name that I've heard, but you know what I have to also recognize? There are many people who watch when we are actually not broadcasting live. Anken Ma'at to you out in Israel. How are things going out there?
We have Taz Seti who says he's from Denver, Colorado, so for 14 months.
Anken Ma'at to you. Anken Ma'at. Denver, Colorado. Not a place I've been to yet.
So that's Sakina Ra, Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Anken Ma'at to you, Sinette, who is one of our full members and very active. I hope all is well with you.
And Sen Nahisi Oxeca says from Las Vegas.
You're still in Las Vegas? You must be going back and forth. That doesn't sound like it's easy. Anken Ma'at to you, though, nonetheless.
Oh, we have Waretz Kamut Perata from Temple of Anu, who's located in Edmond, Oklahoma.
Anken Ma'at to you. Anken Ma'at to you. One of our members from our sister shrine. I hope all is well with you. We need to catch up with the folks at Temple of Anu, too, now that we're back in the country. How are you? I hope all is well.
We have Sinette Papansa Tracy out in Hyattsville, Maryland.
Anken Ma'at, one of our full members. Anken Ma'at to you, Sinette.
Noble Lloyd Lipcott from Brooklyn.
Anken Ma'at to you, Brooklyn. That's right down, right, a short train ride away. How are you? Where in Brooklyn are you? I know that's what Anika wants to ask. Because Anika has lived in Harlem for like 80 years, but she is still repping Brooklyn, right? She will always rep Brooklyn. That's where she's from. So.
We have Kent Keys from West New York.
Anken Ma'at, West New York, New Jersey. There's a place called West New York that is like right on the other side of the river, which is very interesting, and has some beautiful views actually of the skyline. Better views of the skyline actually than if you were in New York City.
It could be West New York.
West of New York?
We'll see.
Yeah.
We have Della Fulton. Greetings from Nightingale today, Miami ongoing.
Anken Ma'at, Miami ongoing? What does the ongoing mean?
That's from now, from after.
Okay. Anken Ma'at to Sinette Della, who is one of our folks going through initiation now, Queen of Sen Nahisi. She's in Miami. Seems like he's going back and forth. That does not sound easy. I hope you all are doing it and making it work. It's hard to travel constantly.
We have Sinette Shankar.
Anken Ma'at from the DMV area. How are you? I hope all is well. Very active member who we look forward to seeing as soon as we possibly can.
Sharice Clement from Cleveland.
Anken Ma'at to you.
Daria says that Rael is visiting in St. Louis. Yes.
They're in East St. Louis.
Mhm.
That's where they're from, I believe. Yeah, Anken Ma'at to you.
We have Maka Kwayedza from NYU.
Maka Kwayidza.
Uh-huh.
Anken Ma'at to you. From NYU. Are you a student at NYU? Are you faculty at NYU? Are you Staff at NYU, we'd love to know what you're doing at NYU.
Fellow folks and stuff, they'll be in person.
You'll be in person. Wonderful. Ankin Ma'at. That's
Same
good to
thing with
hear.
Sunisi Naka.
Say again?
Same thing with Sunisi Naka.
Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at. I'm looking forward to seeing you all with my own eyes. Again.
President Sandra from Brooklyn.
Ankin Ma'at to you, Sinette. How are you? Good to hear that you're out there in the BK.
And one of our regulars up there.
Which we have a full member of Sinette
Yeah.
Sandra as well. That's the Sandra that we're talking about, right? Yes. Ankin Ma'at to you.
We have Jason Edwards, Evergreen, Alabama.
How are you?
Shamsu Ma'at.
My good brother and history lover. Ankin Ma'at to you. I haven't spoken to you in a while. I've been really busy, so I've been missing some of our regulars. Ankin Ma'at to you. Hope all is well.
We have Anthony Jones from Norfolk, Virginia.
Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at.
We have Lady Care Spencer from North Carolina.
Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at.
We have Lucian Singer in Jacksonville.
Ankin Ma'at. Jacksonville. How are things going in Jacksonville? I know that there was a really, really horrific attack on Black folks at a Dollar General in Jacksonville just yesterday. 3 people of African descent killed by a white racist. I'm wondering how you are doing, how your family is doing. I'm hoping that you are in good stead.
We have Yamaya Olokun.
Mm-hmm.
It's Yamaya.
From Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Ankin Ma'at to you, Sinette. How are you? Very good friends with Sinette Ashley. That's like her sister. Ankin Ma'at. How are you? Hope all is well.
Nubian Master.
Ankin Ma'at.
Jamar, one of our priests.
Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to you, Abu.
Is it Jarl Mozaga?
Is Abu Jamar chilling in the it's going to be a test to see whether I'm going to be able to do comedic ascension with this cough. I hope that you are doing well. I'm wondering if you're out there in Strong Island. Are you moving around? How are you? Ankin Ma'at to you. No, you're speaking a little bit low. Say again?
We have, I hope I'm saying this correctly. Is it Jarl or Laurel Mozaga from Brazil?
Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at. And we have at least one member who is active in Brazil. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Bill Rogers is here. Tell us where you're from. We have Sen Broke Pansy Obabini Kanefer Webin Ra.
Ankin Ma'at out in Philadelphia. How are you, dear Sen?
Oh, and Bill Rogers is from Guyana. Georgetown.
From Guyana or in Guyana?
I think we've had this conversation.
With Bill Rogers too?
Yes.
Okay, Ankin Ma'at to you. You know, because of my own Guyanese heritage, I always want to know, where are you exactly? Ankin Ma'at.
Yes. Noble Boy Lickouch from Crown Heights.
Ankin Ma'at. Crown Heights. That's in your stomping grounds.
Mm-hmm. Sen Rosaga said that's the person who spoke to you via email from Brazil.
Via email? Recently? Did I respond to the email? Listen, I have been traveling extensively. So it's possible that I missed you. And it's not drawing I'm drawing a blank right now. So hopefully let me know who you are and we'll communicate.
Yeah, Ma'ati Aset.
Ankin Ma'at to you. Ma'ati Aset from Ma'ati Aset from the Shrine of Ptah, or we know a few Ma'ati Asets, let's just say that. I know at least 2, if not 3 Ma'ati Asets. I'm wondering which one it is. Ankin Ma'at to you.
We have Lori Moreno out in Alabama.
Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at.
Four brothers is in Guyana.
Wow. Ankh and Ma'at. Someplace I'd like to be right now.
We have Sinette Newt.
Ankh and Ma'at. Holding down Boston. Ankh and Ma'at to you, Sinette, a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at. Is that it? Oh. She's quiet today. Nika is quiet. I can't hear her. Ankh and Ma'at to you all. Welcome to Kemetic Ascension, brought to you by the Shrine of Ma'at. I hope that you are having an incredible Sunday and that all is well. And I'm truly honored that you decided to spend some time here with us. For those of you who are just joining us, I just want to remind you of our Heb Keperur, the celebration for those individuals who are completing their initiation, which will be held on September 16th at 12 noon in Central Park, right in front of the Dana Discovery Center. So if you're unfamiliar with where we'll be, search for Charles Dana and Central Park and you'll see where we'll be. Hopefully those of you who are part of the Shrine of Ma'at family will actually attend and be there at the celebration. Ankh and Ma'at to you all. With that, you know that we begin anything we do in the manner prescribed by our elder Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Pata. We're hoping that you will join us for what is known as the opening of the way. So please stand with me. Remember, this is not theater. We're expecting you to do it with us. You're going to stand in the position of adoration, which means you're going to stand upright and you're going to just take a small stride with your left foot forward. Then you're going to expose your palms in front of you. And as you expose your palms in front of you, you can put your left palm just a little further forward and your right palm a little lower than your left palm and a little further back. This is known today as the pose of adoration, and we see it illustrated, carved on papyrus walls for thousands of years throughout the Kemetic tradition. So this is a very important way to demonstrate the ancient Kemetic tradition. And of course, we see our robotic camera is freaking out. Why? Because this is exactly what you do to make the robotic camera work. You expose your palms. And of course, that is difficult for us because this is our pose of adoration. So our camera gets really freaky with us. With this, what you're going to do is you're going to take a deep breath and you're going to take it from your abdomen, and then you're going to breathe the word of everlasting life, Ankh. So take your deep breath, do our chant of Ankh, and then we're going to go into the opening of the way. Please follow me.
Anetrak in Bedhet.
Anetrak in Bedhet.
Nuke in Bedhet.
Nuke in Bedhet. Anetrak Kapi.
Anetrak Kapi.
New copy.
New Kapi.
Twa Winter.
Twa Winter.
Make your turn.
Anetrak Serket.
Anetrak Serket.
Nuke Serket.
Nuke Serket. Anetrak Keb Senu.
Anetrak Keb Senu.
Nuke Keb Senu.
Nuke Keb Senu.
Twa Winter.
Twa Winter. Anetrak Ast.
Anetrak Ast.
Nuke Ast.
Nuke Ast. Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Twa Winter.
Twa Winter. Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat. Anetrak Dwa Mutef.
Anetrak Dwa Mutef.
Nuke Dwa Mutef.
Nuke Dwa Mutef.
Twa Winter.
Twa Winter.
Anetrak Newt.
I'm sorry. Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt. Nuke Newt. Anetrak Geb.
Anetrak Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Twa Winter.
Twa Winter.
Anetrak Shoe.
Anetrak Shoe.
Shoe. Shoe. Shoe. Shoe. Nuke Shoe.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Anetrak Tefnut. 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 Nuke Tefnut. Twa Winter. Anetrak Paut Interu. Nuke Paut Interu. Anetrak and Boo Interu. Nuke and Boo Interu. Twa Winter. Twala winter. Dwa, 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 dwa. Dwa for doing the opening of the way with us. Of course, the camera followed her all the way. I guess because she must have been the last one to put her hands forward. Come on, let's go. Come with me. Come on. Come on. Come on. And so that is a little bizarre, is it not? Okay. So with that, we'll go into Hesi. Hesi is the manner in which our ancient Kemetic, our ancient African ancestors galvanized divine energy in affirmation, in harmony, and you could even say in song. Hesi was gospel before anyone spoke the word gospel. Hesi was the manner in which our ancestors truly put forward their worship in a way other than just speaking, in a way that truly allowed them to connect with each other. And so we hope that you will join us for Hesi today. Anika, what Hesi will be doing today? Ptah Sekhmet Imhotep. Ptah Sekhmet Imhotep. And you can hear that it will be rendered by that wonderful couple, excuse me, that is currently in Kemet, that has mastered these Hesi so magnificently, the Schaeffers. So please, without further ado, please listen to Ptah Sekhmet Imhotep. Wonderful, wonderful. I love their version. Ptah Sekhmet Infotep. Ptah Sekhmet Neferatu. They're in the house. Ankin Ma'at to the Schaefers. We did not get a chance to see you when we were in Kemet. We hope that all is well. And hopefully we'll get to see you soon. Let me just say that I love their version. It is the kind of rendition that would make Baba smile. You know that the root shrine of the shrine of Ma'at is the shrine of Ptah. And so we sang that all the time. Ptah Sekhmet Imhotep, Ptah Sekhmet Neferatu. And then someone would start in the second round. They'd start from the beginning. We would sing it in a round, as it's said. And someone would get on the drums, the hand drum, and someone else would have shekere, and then sisters would end up dancing, brothers would end up getting up and moving. It was really an amazing time. And so it's wonderful to hear that Hesi in resplendent form once again. With that, I want to go ahead and go into what we call the word from the Seba'it. The word from the Seba'it. And I just need to reiterate once again that the Seba'it is the world's first body of literature. It's the body of literature that comes to us from ancient Kemet, and within it are the oldest complete extant text in the world. Texts like the Maxims of Ptah-hotep, texts like the Instructions of Amenemhat, texts like the Instructions of Amenemhat, and other texts that are really the oldest texts in the world are in this genre that could be translated as wisdom literature. The world's first literature, the world's first books are in the category of wisdom literature, and they come to us from ancient Kemet. So today what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the importance of restoring Ma'at. As, of course, we are the Shrine of Ma'at, you can imagine that we would think about Ma'at considerably. And in doing that, I'd like to also sort of reflect on what our journey has been over the last few weeks. And so you see here an image of the king offering Ma'at. That's beautiful. Can you see that? The king making the offering of the Ma'at on the left. You see an image from a papyri, a beautiful image of Ma'at standing here with the feather on her head. And we see Ma'at rendered as the scales from the papyrus of, I believe this is the papyrus of Hunefer. And you're actually seeing that she literally has been transformed into the scales. Restoring Ma'at in many ways is the most important admonition of the Kemetic tradition, of a Kemetic spiritual practitioner. In some ways, you could say the spirituality of ancient Kemet. Sometimes we just say Kemetic spirituality, but in many ways, we should call it something like Wat Ma'at, the way of Ma'at. It is the tradition of Ma'at. That is the spiritual tradition of ancient Kemet. So we should definitely talk about it as much as we can. First off, let me just show you, we've now been back from Africa for a little bit more than a week. And look at this amazing photo of all of our group standing in front of, in fact, let me ask you, which Merkut on the Giza Plateau is this? Is this the Great Merkut? Is this the second Merkut on the Giza Plateau? The one that was built by Khafra? Or is this the third one built by the grandson of Khufu, Menkaura. Which Merkut is this? You can actually see that we're all standing there smiling. I'm in that back row. Where is Anika?
Right next to you.
Are you? Oh yeah, there you are. A little further down. Here she is. Here. It's small. There she is. She's in the middle. There she is, right there. Um, and you can see that we're all here enjoying ourselves. We actually have. I want to say that we have Sen Quarry there. I think he's the one that's raising the book there. Can you see someone raising something that's red, black, and green? He's a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at that's there. We had two full members, Sen Oturo, Sen Alexander is also on the trip as well. I'm trying to find his picture. He's I can't tell where he is there in this picture. It's too small. Anika, can you tell? He might be the other one holding up a book. You know how they are, right? They're always reading and studying, so they may be the two that are holding up books there on both sides. And we're having an amazing, amazing trip. I'm also looking for the yoga master, Yasir Rahotep. I think he's all the way in the back there with the red hat on. And there he is. And what an amazing trip. What an amazing trip we had. So do we have any answers as to which Merkut this is?
We have a few. So Taseti says Kufu.
Okay, Kufu.
Senatan says Menkaura.
Menkaura.
Sakina Ra says Kafra.
Kafra. Okay, so we have a few different answers here, right? Which one is correct? Now listen, if you see these regularly, you could glance at it and tell which is which. Unfortunately, there are a few different ways to tell the difference, right? One of the ways that you can tell which one is which, the second Merkut on the Giza Plateau it appears to be larger in some places from the Great Merkut. And that's simply because it is not larger, it's just simply built at a higher elevation. And so building it on a higher point makes it look larger. And the thing that's so interesting is the surveying and the engineering is done so precisely that you could draw a straight line from the top of the one to the other. So even though it's built at a higher elevation, they knew exactly how to build it so that the top of one Merkut from the sun would touch the top of the second Merkut from the father. This one of the other ways, and that one actually has some of its limestone left at the top. This one does not. So it's not the Merkut of Kafra. It is not.
It's the same thing that Taseti said.
That's exactly what they say. Yes. You can, unfortunately, one of the other ways you can tell the difference without looking at the base here, I could just look at the base and see that this small piece here on the left here is the small bit of polished Tura limestone that's left. So I would know that this is the Merkut of Khufu. You can also tell by this large hole that the infidels, that the others made as they were trying to rob this Merkut. This you can see some of the sub-core of the Merkut there, and I just recognize that is how, unfortunately, today the Great Merkut looks. So you are looking at the Great Merkut, the Great Pyramid. I don't like to use that word, but I'm using it for those of you who may be relatively new. Of Khufu. Khufu, who builds a building that remains the largest building in the world for nearly 4,000 years. Very, very long period of time. Just imagine how massive this is. And he builds it in many ways in honor of his father, who builds 3 Merkutu and builds the world's first flat-sided Merkut. Who is that? Tell me his name. Let's see how many of you know the name of the father of Khufu without Googling it. What's his father's name that builds 3 Merkutu? Let's see if you have an answer.
Taseti says Seneferu.
Taseti says Seneferu. Correct. Seneferu is the name of the father of Khufu. And it's just magnificent to look at what is possible when you have your father in place. We're really looking at the story of four fathers, four generations when we look at Seneferu, Khufu, Khafra, and Menkaura. We're looking at four generations. And that's without even recognizing that in between there, we even have the eldest son of Khufu, build a Merkut a bit further away at a place called Abu Rawash. That is also important as well. For extra credit, someone tell me his name as I continue. Let's see if we know the name of the eldest son of Khufu, who builds a Merkut at a different location, but he doesn't reign that long. And so most people have forgotten his name, also because his Merkut has been even more greatly defiled by the folks that came during the Arab invasion of Kemet as well. So I'm looking at this and remembering that it is really just a short time ago that we were standing at the base of the Great Merkut. What an amazing experience that was. And I have been honored, Anika and I have been honored to not just go every year, but to take Africans to see African greatness. It is an amazing, amazing honor. Do we have an answer?
No.
Not yet? No? Did I stump someone?
I know the answer.
You always have to stay quiet back there. Why don't you tell us the answer?
Jedefra.
Jedefra. Jedefra is the son of Khufu. Yes, Jedefra is the son of Khufu, who builds the Merkut actually at a place today known as Abu Rawash. That he doesn't rule very long, so his younger brother then comes into reign, and he builds that second Merkut at the Giza Plateau. Good job, good job. We should know the names of these great Kemetic ancestors. Take a look at this amazing picture. Amazing picture. You're seeing the group now. We've traveled hundreds of miles to the south, or what our Kemetic ancestors would have considered the north. And we're standing in front of this amazing monument. Who is the monument to? Who is the monument to? And what is its rightful name? In fact, before you tell me what its rightful name is, tell me what it's known as. Let's see if you know this as well. I'd like to see if you can tell me what it's known as. I would really love to see if someone knows its rightful name. That one I doubt we'll get an answer to. Let's see what happens. But here you'll see Senkori kneeling in the middle. Look at him kneeling in the middle. Anika and I are kneeling a little bit. Look at Anika standing there, smiling and looking very, very brown, by the way. Very brown. She's looking really brown. She's looking Cecily Tyson brown after all of that Nubian sun. Look at that. We even had a small baby with us who was less than 2. Look at her. She's looking at the camera too, by the way. It's on her dad's chest in the carrier next to her mom. It's an amazing, amazing picture.
Tasseti has answered.
Let's hear what Tasseti says.
The temple is to Ramesses II. And
yes.
Abu Simbel.
Yes, unfortunately, it's known as Abu Simbel today. Yes. Does he have another name? I didn't think we'd get an answer to that one. That's a little bit more difficult. It is known as Abu Simbel, and it's an amazing site. I mean, you can see there are there are 4 statues of Ramesses. The second one has been damaged. It's believed by an earthquake in the ancient world. And these are like 5 or 6 stories high. It is an amazing, amazing thing to see. Once you get here, the Statue of Liberty, the Christ the Redeemer statue, all that stuff is just quaint compared to what ancient Africans did when Africans were in their full glory. No other answer? I saw you wince a little bit. Did someone give a strange answer?
Yeah. Jacob said the Temple of Ramesses II.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's
not why I'm wincing. But
that's not why you're wincing.
I don't know.
It is the Temple of Ramesses II.
That's correct.
It was known as Ramesses Mary Amun, Ramesses Beloved of Amun. Ramesses Mary Amun is what this temple was known as. And unfortunately,
I was close. What? Mary Amun.
That's pretty close because Ramses's coronation name is Usur Ma'at Ra Setepen Ra. And so that's pretty close. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You should know that the reason why this gets to be known as Abu Simbel is a disturbing one. There was an Italian strongman, plunderer, thief, and circus, I should say circus strongman, just so you know. He used to literally work in circuses, lifting people above his head. And he makes a journey to Kemet to see this. It's a long journey. Even today, it's a long journey to get there. We travel by bus about 3 hours into the desert, nearly touching the Sudan. That's how far south we go, and to see this amazing site. And when we get there, we are greeted by this ridiculous name. This Italian plunderer and circus strongman known as Giovanni Belzoni goes there. And as he makes his journey, this long journey, he gets to the site and sees these magnificent, these gigantic statues of Ramses the Great. And he thinks it would be funny to name the space, as if he should even have thought that he would have the right to name something. He names the space after what is believed to be a diminutive person, a small person, someone that we might have at one point called by a derogatory term like midget, a tiny person in his entourage that assisted him getting there. That person's name was Abu Simbel. So he names the site Abu Simbel. And I'm going to tell you, not only is this what people know the site as, but the entire village around it is known as Abu Simbel, unfortunately. And it's mostly inhabited by Nubians who live in the area. This is ridiculous. We ought to reclaim the proper names of our ancestors and speak their names clearly once more. We have a lot of work to do. And as I'm back from Kemet this year, I stand here and I think about how much work we have. It can be daunting. It can be really daunting. But I know that we are up for it. I know that we're up for it. And I truly hope that we are at least beginning our ascension towards being able to speak the names of our ancestors and be in control of their spaces once more. This site is interesting also because it was moved up this large hill, because when the modern Egyptian government wanted to create this large lake in order to electrify all of Kemet, all of modern Egypt, they would have submerged this under the water entirely. And so they decided that it was going to be submerged. And an international group of architects and engineers, led by UNESCO, had a project to move it up this hill to its current place now. It is an amazing site. It really is an amazing site. And I am honored to be able to stand in front of it and to go inside it every year. During this trip, you could imagine Anika and I did a lot of instruction and teaching. Here I am. I'm going to talk a little bit about this space as well. In the Temple of Kamambo, talking about a particular issue that is of critical importance. Here is Anika. I want to say that this is probably in, it might be in the temple consecrated to, I'm reading the Shen. No, I think that that might be, it might still be in that temple known as Karnak. Because I can see Usur Ma'at Ra Tepen Ra's Shen here, if you look to the side. And here. So you can see that those were actually created by Ramses the Great. And here's Anika discussing this particular space here. So we did a lot of work, and it was an amazing, amazing journey. We also had a wonderful ancestral ceremony. You can see the ancestral boat that we made this year. We essentially gather messages from the folks who have made this journey all the way to Kemet. They write them on papyrus, and then we place them in the boat, and the boat sails up the Hapi. It's an amazing experience. Anika's saying that Baba Heru has entered the room. Ankan Ma'at Baba, how are you? I took this boat for Baba to see before we left. Baba, it did sail on the Hapi, although it fell on its side. I think it was going to stay upright this year, but the boat was moving. So as soon as I put it down, current took it immediately. I didn't get a chance to place it properly, but there is the ancestral boat sitting in Nubia, in the hotel in Nubia, and then on the boat that Anika and I are preparing to let it into the Hopi. We're literally standing on a boat. That picture of us, we're putting the messages into the boat, and it is about to go into the water, into the Great River, as a as us really trying to have a continuing dialogue with our ancestors. This was an important emotional part of the trip. One of the brothers that went on the trip, the one with the young daughter, plays the saxophone, and he played amazingly along that trip. We had a wonderful moment. I called my father's name. My father has now been gone for 3 years. It feels like it was yesterday that he became an ancestor, and that has been difficult for me. And as soon as I called his name and our brother started playing with the saxophone, he played one of my father's, probably my father's very favorite song, a song that he would sing almost every day. And I just had to recognize that my father was speaking back to me, just letting me know that he heard me. It was an amazing experience. One of the things that I think we can take away from this journey, that everyone who is watching should take away from this journey, is this site here. This site here. It is an amazing, amazing site. Who knows what the name of this temple is? Who knows what the name of this temple is? Let's see if someone can recognize it. You should be able to recognize it because it is unique. It's the only temple that I'm aware of that has this floor plan. One of the things that you might notice is that it has a Heru Behudet at the top, just as most temples do, but it has two together. This means that this temple is quite unique. Which temple is it? Tell us what you know. Tell us what you know. I'm assuming we don't have any clear answers yet.
Senator says this is the temple dedicated to Ma'at.
It's not dedicated to Ma'at, but Ma'at plays an important role.
San Jason says Temple of Edfu.
Temple of Edfu. Edfu it looks very different.
And Daniel LaRoche says Kamumbo.
Ankh Ma'at to send Daniel LaRoche, who is there. Obviously, he knows because he stepped foot in that temple, right? He's been there, so he can speak definitively about what it is. And it is known as the Temple of Kamambo. Very important. Its original name is probably Nubet.
Her uncle also said Kamambo.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. So we have some good answers. This temple is probably known as Nubit. It was an important temple built in what we consider it really as it is in the northern part of the modern state of Aswan, which in some ways means that it was a temple that was built under the Ptolemies, under the Greeks, but built in the area where the Nubians were. And it is very interesting. Now, I want you to understand that while we recognize that the Ptolemies were in control at the time that it was built, it doesn't mean that we should actually discount the things that we learned from the temple, particularly because the Ptolemies didn't know how to do this. They had to use native people who built temples to be able to build it. So let's recognize that there's still much to be learned when we analyze these particular temples. It, to me, is very, very important as we attempt to understand the very concept of Wat Ma'at, the way of Ma'at. One of the things that makes it so interesting is that it is a temple that is completely symmetrical. It's almost like you put a mirror down the middle. And that's why it has two different Heru Behudet. Do you see the winged sun disk at the top? That's called the Heru Behudet. On one side, we have a temple consecrated to one deity. On the other side, we have a temple consecrated to another deity. And in some ways, they serve as counterbalances for each other. Who are they consecrated to? Who are they consecrated to? Why is this an important way for us to look at the practice of Seruj Ma'at or restoring Ma'at? Why should practitioners find this particular temple interesting and endearing as we attempt to understand more powerfully the idea of finding divine balance?
St. Jason says Heru and Set.
Heru and Set, okay. Any other answers? At this time, Set is being played by someone else. The idea, the concept of Set, the concept of force, the concept of the ability to take control of one's life, to take life, is being played by another deity here.
Okay, so the Shapers say Sobek and Heru. San Daniel says LaRoche is Sobek. Senatan says Heru and Sobek. And Senatan says Sobek.
In this instance, the Set role, the counterbalance of Heru, is being played by Sebek, the crocodile deity, Sebek. And I think this isn't Sebek, this is actually Twaraj. I think that is a very interesting reality. We do have Sebek. Yeah, we have Sebek upstairs. We do. We have, you knew that I was going to get us Sebek at some point, right? Yes. It is a really, really amazing concept that we must find ourselves in divine balance, right? Heru, in some ways, being a symbol of our upper faculties, and Sebek being a symbol of our lower faculties. Now, I don't want you to think that upper is more important than lower. They must be in divine balance in order for us to do the work that our ancestors have asked us to do, have divinely ordained us to do. That is why this temple is of critical importance. So the left is to Heru, the right is to Sebek. And the thing that's so interesting is when you go behind, this temple has two holies of holies, two Jesserus, two innermost sanctums where you would see the statue of the divine, that space that only those who had gone through the deepest purification, only those who had gone through the most erudite of teachings and attained the highest level of the priesthood to be able to enter that space. This temple doesn't just have one, it has two. One to Heru and one to Sebek. And if you had X-ray vision and went behind both of those Holy of Holies, behind both of those Jesseru, behind both of those inner sanctums, you would see an interesting image. You would see this. Can you see that image there? Can you see that image there? Literally in between those two sanctuaries, but behind it, almost as if you needed to be able to look through the wall, you see this image. Who is that kneeling there in splendor? Can anyone see closely who that is? Who is that there? I know there's a delay. Does anyone have an answer? I wonder if that's the delay or some people can't see the image. Can you see who it is that is standing, that is kneeling in between the two Jesseru spaces of this quite unique temple?
Wow.
Who said that?
We have Senatan, Sensaris, we have Jason, almost everyone.
You can see Ma'at kneeling there. She is kneeling there, holding palm ribs and the ankh. She is in between, reminding us that within us we must find divine balance. And she's also there to hear you and to see you. Do you see the ears below? This is a place where we might have actually spoken to Ma'at. I believe that underneath here would have been a small statue in a niche of Ma'at. I think you see the front of the feather is still left there, but it's been damaged. Probably damaged by those early Christians that actually did quite a bit of damage in here and also used this space as a church later on. They defiled this space. And so this is a reminder of the importance to Seruj Ma'at. We must restore Ma'at. By the way, can I go back? You'll see that that's where I'm speaking. Can you see that's where I'm speaking? You see that image? Right above you can see part of it. That's where I'm speaking. Talking about the importance of Seruj Ma'at on that wall. There's so much to talk about in this temple. There is a description of the calendar year that is drawn out here. Shows us the 3 seasons. There's also even images of women actually giving birth to the year in this temple. There's even a wonderful drawing of some of the tools that doctors would have used in this temple as they would have practiced healing. Wonderful, wonderful space. And I think for practitioners, it is a great reminder for what we must do. So let's talk really briefly about Ma'at for a little bit. Hopefully in trying to develop a greater understanding of the way that our ancestors described Ma'at, and perhaps a greater understanding of how we have to get to the point where we are better able to Seruj Ma'at. Take a look at Ma'at in the Merkutu text. These are from Unas in the 5th dynasty. In Utterance 260, we see written, "Bring together then his members, which shall be secret. He joins those who are in Noon." That's the great primordial waters. "He leaves his testament in Iunu," that space that the Greeks called Heliopolis. "Lo, Unas comes out on this day in the true form of a living ox spirit, so that Unas interrupts the fight, so that he punishes strife. Unas comes out, the guardian of Ma'at. He brings it while it is with him. Those who were very angry turn around about him. Those who were in the wound transfer life to him. Unas's shelter is in his eye. The protection of Unas is in his eye. Unas's victorious strength is in his eye. The power of Unas is in his eye. O you Netru of the south, of the north, of the west, and of the east, honor Unas, fear him, for he sat in the leather tent of the 2 courts. The red one, the Jeden snake, the Jenen snake, might have burned you, for it strikes your hearts. You who come to Unas as adversaries, come to him. As friends, come to him. Unas is his father's self. He is the sprout of his mother. Unas's abomination is to go about in darkness, so that he does not see upside down. Unas comes out on this day and brings Ma'at, which is with him. Unas will not be handed to your flame, you Neteru. Now, I want to say that reading the Merkutu text can be difficult. They're not in narrative form. They are created, and they seem to describe ceremonies that are done. In this instance, for Unas, as he makes his transition from the land of the living to the land of the ancestors. And in this instance, we see that Unas becomes one of the primordial forces, able to do battle with those entities that are committed to leaving the world in chaos. And as he does battle, it is said that that battle is done with Ma'at. That he must be a warrior of divine balance in order to make that transition. A transition that leaves him so powerful that he is more powerful than the Neteru, that he cannot be destroyed. This is important. All the way in the Merkutu text, in what are known as the pyramid texts, what are usually considered the world's first spiritual document. We see that Unas must be a warrior of Ma'at. Very important. All the way in the 5th dynasty, you see these texts written from ceiling to floor. Look at this image here. That is actually the text written from ceiling to floor in these 5th dynasty Merkutu, these 5th dynasty Meru, these 5th dynasty pyramids, just so those of you who know what I'm speaking, who are unfamiliar, who are newer to the tradition, know what I'm speaking of. This is important. This is important. Some of it will probably not be as clear because we don't know what all of the ceremonies were, right? I mean, for example, it seems clear that there's a ceremony that renders him as the deity that comes out of the Unu and out of the primordial waters that come from the Unu. We see that Unas is the punisher of strife and the guardian of Ma'at. How does that ceremony look? I would love to know so that we could bring it back in its full form into the modern world. The point that we must take away, however, is that in order for you to be the powerful one, to be the one that has victory over death, to be the one that has victory over all of those entities and individuals who seek to do you harm, you must be a guardian of Ma'at. That is what we should take away from this. We can jump forward and look at the Shabaka stone. Now, the Shabaka stone comes to us from what some people might call in some ways, the Cushitic Renaissance, the late period of ancient Kemet. But it seems very clear that this Nubian king, who was called into Kemet to assist it in putting it back into order during the 25th dynasty of Kemet, it seems very clear that what he has written here is from the Old Kingdom. When Shabaka comes forward into Kemet, he says he finds several papyri that are worm-eaten. They're in horrible condition. And he goes about having them carved into stone so that they could last into eternity. Right below this head of Shabaka, by the way, this is from the Nubian Museum in Aswan, Kemet today. You see an image of the Shabaka stone. It is quite large. Maybe it's 5 feet wide and about 3 feet tall. It's amazing. It is in the British Museum today. It is not in Kemet today. You might even notice that it has this large sort of rectangular void in the middle and several scores that come forward from it. That is not original. The modern Arabic people found it, and instead of recognizing that it might have great wisdom, instead of recognizing that it needed to be translated, instead of recognizing that it was an ancient artifact, what they said is, this is a large, hard stone. It's very flat. We can grind bread on it. So that is what you are seeing, damage that has been done to this ancient text by the modern people that are in Kemet today. Thankfully, some of the text is still legible. It's still something that we can translate. And we know that part of what is written comes from what is known as the Book of Knowing the Creations. The Book of Knowing the Creations. Listen to what is said on the Shabaka stone from the Book of Knowing the Creations. It says, "Thus said Ra, the Lord of all, the Lord of the utmost limits, after he had come into being. I am the one who came into being and brings into being." By the way, coming into being and brings into being means that he's self-created. Do you understand that? This is the self-created, a concept that goes into Christianity later. We're not here to talk about that extensively now, but I want you to understand that that is how this should be translated. When I came into being, being itself came into being. Listen to that. When I came into being itself came into being. All beings came into being after I came into being. Many were the beings that came forth from the commandments of my mouth. Does this sound familiar? Heaven had not come yet into being, nor had earth come into being, nor had the ground been created, or the things which creep and crawl upon it. I raised up beings in the primordial waters as inert things. I found no place on which to stand. I formed it from the desire in my heart. I laid the foundation through Ma'at. I created the forms of every kind. Many were the forms was issued forth from the commandments of my mouth. Not yet had I established Shu, the power and principle of light and air, nor sent forth Tefnut, the power and principle of moisture. There existed no one who acted together with me. I conceived it in my own heart. This is a beautiful translation that comes to us from selections from the Hosea. You'll actually see it with the selections from the Hosea, Sacred Wisdom of Ancient Egypt, edited and written by Maulana Karenga in 1989. Really good translation of it. And I want you to recognize here we see the beginning of the world, the beginning, I shouldn't say of the world, beginning of all things. And as we see the beginning of all things, this should sound very familiar to the way that we see one of the two creation stories in the Bible, the one that is in Genesis, that seems to describe the world coming out of a great ocean. Here we see it comes out of primordial waters. This concept is older than the Bible. This concept is older than the Torah. This concept is an ancient African telling of the creation of the world. And I find it fascinating that here Ra is creating all things from his mouth, and that nothing existed before him. In fact, there was no place upon which for him to stand in order to create all things. He created the first firmament, the first place in order to create all things. But can you see what he does not create? He does not create Ma'at. Ma'at is that deity that has no creation story. He simply says he's creating things, and he creates them through he creates the foundation through Ma'at. Doesn't say he creates Ma'at. Ma'at is the order of the universe. Once the universe comes into being, Ma'at is already there. That I find fascinating. Fascinating. Ma'at being that deity that has no creation story. Later we see, and this is in the New Kingdom, we actually begin to see the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. Here they are here. I find them fascinating. I find them beautiful. I find them powerful. I even say that some of them are really, really hard, harder than others. I don't find it hard not to murder people. I don't know about you. That part is easy for me. But imagine that one of these admonitions is, I have made none to weep. Not I haven't done anything wrong to someone, but I have not made them weep. That if you made someone weep, you have to restore Ma'at. That is deep. That's really, really deep. You've not been angry without just cause. Doesn't say that anger is in and of itself isfet, the absence of Ma'at. But you have to be angry with just cause. That is powerful. That is powerful. I implore you to continue to read these so that you're able to come to a better understanding of where this comes from. and how this should guide you to live a life according to Ma'at. We also see here the king giving Ma'at to Asar, giving Ma'at. United States Post Office. Yep. Giving Ma'at to Ast, giving Ma'at to Heru. An offering of Ma'at. That is beautiful. This offering of Ma'at. And so I say to you that obviously offering Ma'at, offering divine balance is what everyone must do. Have you been a warrior for Ma'at? Have you been a guardian of Ma'at? How should you find this divine balance in your life? This is of critical importance. And I truly hope that you are giving thought to how you must be an element of Ma'at in your life, for your family, in this community. What are you doing to ensure that Ma'at continues? How are you being an element of Ma'at? This is absolutely beautiful. This image of the king making offerings to the most important trinity of the Kemetic world, Asar, Ast, and Heru, their child, and offering them Ma'at. He's making other offerings. Can you see he has a pillar table, a pillar altar here, a saut, right? Can you see that he's actually has an altar to Ma'at as he offers them Ma'at? This is powerful, powerful, powerful. And I truly hope that as you continue doing this, you will be in a place where you are offering Ma'at. You are a guardian of Ma'at. You are a warrior of Ma'at. Here's a close-up on that image. In fact, you might notice that it doesn't come from here. It comes from the temple that today is known as Karnak. The very logo of the Shrine of Ma'at comes from this image. You can actually see the hand underneath Ma'at, because we are reminding you that you must be a guardian of Ma'at. This is powerful. It's absolutely powerful. So when we talk about practicing Ma'at, I love this image, by the way. It's an older image. In fact, these folks are part of the Hemsenu, the first initiates of the Shrine of Ma'at. It's a beautiful image. It makes me smile. This is their celebration, their Hebkep Ruwer that's occurring there. And I think it's magnificent. It's a beautiful, beautiful image. And we see Baba Heru there, resplendent with his crown, looking quite amazing. Aniko's just about to kneel with her large feather in her hair. Beautiful, beautiful image. I want us to think about how one practiced Ma'at, that this is something that must not just be done at the end of one's life. Sometimes people believe that this concept of Seruj Ma'at, of being a vessel of Ma'at, is something that simply occurs, that that the only thing that must occur is that you are judged on whether you were a practitioner of Ma'at at the end of your life. But I want to remind us that our Kemetic ancestors really made the argument that the actual weighing in some ways was a daily occurrence, that we had the opportunity to Seruj Ma'at, to balance the scales every day. We see these images at the front of some of the tombs, of the royal burials of the New Kingdom. And I believe that what they're reminding us is that our lives are just like the sun, just like the movements of the sun. We see Khepera, the large sun here, I believe, is meant to represent Aten Ra. And then we see an image that is probably Amen Ra, although it looks almost like it could even be Kanu.
So you're saying Aten is a circle.
Aten Ra is the large one in the back. Did I say? I said Aten Ra is the one is the large one in the back, and I'd say that Amen Ra would be here depicted in this form that looks almost like a goat, even though we usually see Amun Ra depicted as a ram. But if they're saying to you that this is the journey that one must focus on when we make our transition, they're not just saying that you're Kepera when you're born. Kepera is the sun at dawn. It is the new sun. Aten Ra being the sun in the middle of the sky, the powerful sun. And then Amen Ra being the sun at the end of its work, the sun of completeness. I think that as we look at this, we should recognize that what we are seeing is an admonition of us trying to Saruj Ma'at, trying to balance the scales on a daily basis. This is of critical importance, not just at the end of one's life, not just at the point where we are about to become an ancestor, like we are seeing Hunefer doing here. That the scales are something that must be balanced daily. That we should take our moral inventory daily. That we should describe what we have done to remain in divine balance daily in order to become a Sar, in order to make the transition as an ancestor. You must do this work every day. This is of critical importance to me. Listen to what Ptahhotep says about the importance of Ma'at. This is in the world's oldest complete book. He says, this is Maxims number 5. He says, Ma'at is good and its worth is lasting. It has not been disturbed since the day of its creator. Whereas he who transgresses its ordinances is punished. It lies as a path in front even of him who knows nothing. Wrongdoing has never yet brought its venture to port. It is true that evil may gain wealth, but the strength of truth is that it lasts. A man can say, it was the property of my father. This to me is beautiful and contains so many different important commentaries on Ma'at. Ma'at is good and its worth is lasting. We must continue to work to Siruj Ma'at because it is something that we must continue to do every day, even though sometimes it seems that evil is how people get forward. He even says it's true that evil may gain wealth, but the strength of truth is that it lasts. I remember hearing a very powerful man say once, almost 60 years ago, he says, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. That was said by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Ptahhotep said the same thing thousands of years earlier. The strength of Ma'at is that it lasts. And a man can say it was the property of my father. This is powerful. This is powerful. And it even says it lies as a path of even in front of he who knows nothing. You don't have to say that you knew that you actually were transgressing Ma'at. Those punishments come whether you are knowledgeable or not. It is the very order of the universe. This is important. So I ask you this. Here is your assignment. I would like for you this week to write a list of 7 things that you must do in order to Siruj Ma'at in your life. Now, this list, some of it may be intensely personal. We're not asking you to out yourself in order to satisfy your homework, but we are asking you to do the work that must be done. Let's see what you're going to come up with. What are the 7 things that will be on your list? Do the work. What are the things that you must do to Siruj Ma'at? in your life, in your surroundings. That's what I'm asking you to do. Make the list and do the work. Because we must remember that it is true that evil may gain wealth, but the strength of truth is that it lasts. So Seruj Ma'at, Seruj Ma'at, Seruj Ma'at. This is of critical importance. With me, I believe that all of these reminders of Ma'at are important to me. And my journey this summer reminds me that Ma'at is something that I need to have in my life and that I need to do more work in order to find divine balance. This is of critical importance. So with that, I say the divine force in me meets the divine force in you. I hope that you are doing the work that you must do in order to be a high-level practitioner of Wat Ma'at, the way of Ma'at. Certainly, you will find that if you become a guardian of Ma'at, you will protect your place amongst the glorious ones who make the transition as ancestors. With that, Nika, can you come forward for the final affirmation? I lasted without coughing too much. It was not easy.
So Hetepu family, Twahu so much for your donations. We really appreciate it and the support that you've given us for so long. So I just wanted to say Twahu to all of you, for those of you who could make donations, and those of you who thought of making donations and maybe couldn't do it right now, we still say Twahu to you just for the thought. So what I'd like to do now is end with one of the oldest prayers found in the Reo and Pert and Ger, known as the Amasu. So I ask that you stand in the pose of adoration, and we will say it in the Metaneta first, and then repeat it in English. So please repeat after me. Amasu and Panter.
Amasu and Panter.
Sauksu.
Sauksu.
Emetra.
Emetra.
And Panter.
And Panter.
Autu.
Autu.
Aura.
Aura.
Maketipa.
Maketipa.
Herura. Give yourself to the One Most High.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
And do it tomorrow.
And do it tomorrow.
Just as you do it
Just
today.
as you did today.
Volunteer.
Volunteer.
Thank you to the divine, and thank you to all of you.
Family, once again, oh, there's the camera, following her again. Family, come on, follow me. All I can say is I'm honored that you decided to spend this Sunday with us. I'm hoping that you're doing the work. We hope that we're going to see you on the weekend of September 16th for our celebration. We're really looking forward to seeing you. And we hope that you are enjoying the end of your summer. I hate saying it, but it's true. I know we're the sun people. So for some of us, we're going to have a full burial rite for the sun as it goes back into the primordial waters. Anyway, I hope that you're having an amazing Sunday and hopefully see you soon. Shema Ma'at, go forth in divine balance.